Is up, everyone? My name is Aaron Neal, and thank you for listening to this Memorial Day podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend as you celebrate the 3-day weekend. And it's not really a happy Memorial Day. I don't really know how to say it to people, but we do celebrate the lives of the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice, and that is, with their lives, that being their lives. And we should be, at least I guess I'll speak for myself, I am eternally grateful for the men and women who answered the call to serve, to be a part of something greater than themselves, who saw an injustice in the world and said, I want to fight against it. No matter your political beliefs, no matter where you stand religiously, um, we should all understand that men and women said, there is something worth fighting for, there is something worth protecting, and I am willing to sign up, even if that means giving up everything else to go and uh, fight the good fight. And so I'm just so grateful for the people who have paved the way. And so I hope you set some time aside to understand that. But today I'm not going to say a whole lot, I guess, but I just wanted to give you a quick, I guess, life update. I did a lot, or at least for me, maybe by some people's standards, not enough, but I did some stuff over this past year, and I just kind of want to recap where I've been, what I've done, some of my thought process behind it all, and I want to get to why I didn't run for the House of Delegates, and I hope you stick around for the end because I'm going to explain that towards the end. But I just want to go back to um, why I joined the military. And one of the main reasons is because, and I know it might sound cliche, but it is because I wanted to serve. I wanted to be a part of something greater than myself. I've always felt that calling upon my life to serve, to be a part of it, and I finally pulled the trigger. It started at a very young age. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and I realized that those guys are animals. They're beasts. And throughout high school, I kind of always wanted to, be a Marine. I thought they were the coolest. I still think those guys are pretty solid. But after meeting a lot of Marines, I'm like, oh, I won't actually. I'm not even saying anything negative. Those guys are solid. Those guys are animals. Uh, but I've met some Marines who made me question. I'm like, how'd you make it through? Anyways. So throughout high school, I wanted to join the military. I wanted to be a Marine. I was talking to a recruiter. I wasn't a great student. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Was going to church, doing all that, being a church kid, all that good stuff. But my senior year just was not it. I wasn't focused mentally in school, spiritually, and I graduated high school at my senior year. I think it was like a 2.0. Luckily, my cumulative was like a 3 point something, so it helped me get to college. But didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't sign up for any college classes. I wasn't going to go to Pima or U of A, which is in Tucson. I wasn't going to do any of it. And so I was, seriously talking to a recruiter, um, a Marine recruiter, and uh, I graduated in May. The Marines were still heavily on my mind, and then my dad in June approached my family and was like, "Hey, me and your mom, this is in 2014, me and your mom are going to start a church in West Virginia." And I had already moved around a lot. I'm not going to go through my life story. And so I kind of looked at that. I was like, you know what? That sounds like a plan. Prayed about it, uh, and decided that that was what I was going to do. I was going to move to West Virginia, take a gap year, and then go to college out here and try and play baseball, try and continue my baseball career. And so that's exactly what I did. I took a gap year, worked full time, bought a car, all that good stuff, saved money, went to West Virginia State University, walked on the baseball team, made it. Not going to go through my whole baseball career. Graduated, but still felt, I wanted to serve. I every time the anthem came on, the national anthem, just like chills. Man, I want to be a part of this. Anytime I saw a veteran stand up or a member of the military stand up, I was like, man, I want that to be me. I want to say that I did it. I served. I just always felt that in my bones. Um, and so but I graduated college, started immediately working, started teaching, and just life kind of happened. I think I was 23 when I graduated college, 24, started teaching right away. Just continue. But I looked at that, I was like, man, I don't, even to this day, I'm like, I don't know if I want to teach my whole life. I'm kind of like still in a limbo of what I want to do. But I was like, I want to do more. I want to do more. And so one of the recruiters for the Air National Guard works out at my gym. And so I approached him, just started nagging him with questions. I was like, I don't want to join the Marines anymore. All they have is a reserve. They don't have a guard. I don't want to be active duty. I have a career. I bought a house. I bought a house back in 2021, I believe. I bought a house, and my life is here. My church is here. My family's here. I don't want to pack up and go anywhere. So what can the guard do for me? I just really started just being narrow with my questions, picking his brain, all that good stuff. And for months, just was like, I'm really considering this. Found out about a nice little signing bonus, which is always a nice little motivation. Went and took the ASVAB, qualified for some good jobs, and pulled the trigger. And last June, I pulled the trigger, and I talked to just I think she's a master sergeant that's in charge of sending people away, getting them to basic training and then to tech school, making sure everything lines up. And I just asked her, I was like, ma'am, please. Everything matched up with my tech school, with my basic training. So in August 22nd, I got sent off to basic training, did that for 8 weeks. And basic training it was awesome. It was a great time. Honestly, I have no complaints about it. But I did want to say this. One of the things that has always inspired me is trying to preach scripture, really what has inspired me throughout my life. And so anyways, Isaiah 6, 1 through 8. In the year that King, I saw the Lord high and exalted, seated on a throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him were seraphim, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying, and they were calling to one another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. At the sound of their voices, the doorposts and thresholds shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Verse 5, Woe to me, I cried. I am ruined, for I have a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Then one of the seraphim flew to me with a live coal in his hand, with it, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. Verse 8, oh, this verse gets me fired up. Love it. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, Here am I, send me. Let's bow our heads and close our eyes. No, I'm just kidding. I love that verse. I try and apply it to my life in the church and uh, wherever I am, in teaching, in working out, in fitness, and in the military. A lot of times we put expectations and we put what we think other people should be doing, and we deflect, and we say, well, and we make excuses for ourselves. And so my life motto recently has just been, here I am. I'll do it. I will do it. I'll go on outreach. I will do the youth group. I will, and I'm not saying that to boast in any way at all, because my parents have led the way and they are my example and they are my disciplers. And so, but, it's just, I'm tired of just waiting for other people to do it. And I haven't always felt that way. It's kind of been like, oh, I just have to do this. I have to do this. But now I'm like, I want to do it. I want to be a part of it. I want to see God move. I want to be in, under the spout where the glory comes out. I want to do it. Here am I. I will go. I will go. I will answer this call. And I just love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to stay in that mindset for as long as I live. My parents have done it for as long as they've been saved. And so and so many pastors, so many military men and women have done it. They've answered their nation's call. And I'm just grateful for their example. And I hope that I can, follow suit. So anyways, that was, part of the reason, that verse and that scripture, I really felt called throughout my whole life, and went to basic training. Coming back to that, went to basic training. And it wasn't hard. I don't mean that to sound arrogant or cocky. If you are do any type of fitness training, the fitness portion definitely wasn't difficult. Maybe for some. And again, if it was hard for you, then hey, it was hard for you. I'm not trying to downplay it or anything like that, but I'm just being honest. What was really hard was, for me at least, was staying awake. You're up at whatever the time was, and you're in classes, sitting down, and someone's talking to you for hours on end, and it was tough staying awake. It was tough. That was probably the hardest part for me, fighting sleep. I think one of the things that helped me as well was joining it at an older age. I was 27 when I went, or 28 when I went in. 27 when I signed up, but 28 when I went in. I think once you get past, the drill instructors, the MTIs, and you kind of get past how they're saying it and just listen to what they're saying, it becomes 10 times easier, because they're screaming at you in your face to tie your shoes, and you're freaking out. And then once you're like, oh, all he wants me to do is tie my shoes? Oh, okay, too easy. I'll tie my shoes. But it takes a minute to like adjust to that. Some people never adjust to that. They just freak out every time they're screaming at you. But if you can kind of get past that, like, oh, he's just screaming at me to, stand at attention. I'll just stand at attention, like all that good stuff. And I think that was probably partly I was able to kind of get past that quickly, maybe because of my age. I don't know. But it was fun. I met some amazing out there, some good friendships. Shout out Knowles, good friend of mine, and that's you really do create a bond. And then in tech school, some lifelong friends that I'll have for a long time. Shout out Linton, shout out Lopez, some great people out there, and so I'm just really grateful that I did it. And if you're ever interested in doing it, the guard is, for me, it just made sense, logistically, financially, and ultimately to check off that box of like, I served. I'm an able-bodied man, um, and I want to do my part. That's my goal. That was my personal stuff. So if that's not you, hey, so be it. That's cool, man. It's not on you to I don't know. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. But I'm just speaking for myself. Not trying to make anyone feel bad or anything like that. Uh, Even though I do believe that, you know, we live in a great nation and that, hopefully if something popped off that people would volunteer. People would volunteer. I truly believe that. So I want to get to, so that was what I did. I was away from August to March, and then I came back and I immediately started teaching again. Actually, in March, my sister got married. Shout out Abby and Aiden. And I did that back in July. And the only reason that I signed up to run for the House of Delegates is because I was approached by a organization, a nonprofit organization that I was friends with. I still am friends with one of the members of there, and he was like, "Aaron, we need someone that lives in your district that is going to run, and we think you'd be great." And I was like, "Well, just to let you know that I know nothing about how to do this, so I absolutely need your guys' help. You guys would have to direct me, you would have to tell me what to do, all of that stuff. But our May of 2024, I'm going to be gone for 6 months, and I won't be back until 2 months before the primaries." And so he's like, "Okay, okay, I'll talk to my boss." Anyway, so I talked to like three different men, have coffee, lunch with organizations, this organization, and different people. And they're all like, "Dude, you need to run. You can win." And they're hyping me up. I'm like, "Okay, I appreciate you guys saying that, but like, I am going to need you. Like, for sure. You guys have to be in my corner." And they're like, "We got you, we got you, we got you." And so I leave, get out of basic training, and I can kind of feel like they might be going in a different direction. I get a call from one of the um, just one of the leaders in the party I was running for out here, and he's like, "Where are you at?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to Missouri for my tech school. I'm not going to be back in West Virginia until March." And he's like, "What?" He was just shocked, and he's like, "Well, I don't know if you can run. I don't know, blah blah blah." I was like, I was like, I said that, like, all right, like, I want to run, I want to win, but you guys have to support me. And they're like, "Okay, okay, okay." Anyways, I come back for Exodus in December, and this organization, this nonprofit organization, sits me down, and they're like, "Hey, basically, we're going to go in a different direction with another guy who's running. He's older, he's retired from being from his job, from his career. He wants to do this. He's in your district. We're going to throw our support behind him." And I was like, "Okay." Like at that point, I was so focused on tech school. Tech, I'm not gonna lie. This first like couple months were really difficult. It was very difficult. So my mind was like focused on primary. I understand. I get it. I wasn't mad. I didn't hold a grudge, anything like that. So I get back here and to West Virginia, and they're full support behind this guy. And at this point, I was just like, "Hey, I'll keep my name on there, keep my name on the primary ballot, and I'm not going to do anything. No, I'm not going to campaign. I'm not going to knock on doors. I'll just maybe try and do it again in 2 years. I'll run the next time, and I'll let this guy have it, and I'm not going to do anything. My name will still be on there, so I ended up voting for myself in the primaries, of course, as one should if you're running. And but I was like, so be it. I'm teaching, I'm military focused. My mind is not even 100% on this. I want to be 100% for the West Virginia people in South Charleston in this district. If the military needs me to go somewhere, I need to go there. And if I'm gone, then that's not fair to the people in West Virginia, in my district. I was kind of like, I was being pulled. I just was being pulled in too many different directions, I think. And if I'm going to run for office, I want to be able to give it 100% of my time, 100% of my mind and effort and all that stuff. So I didn't go to any of the parties I was invited to, not like, you know, kegers, but like dinners, fundraisers. I didn't go to any of those things that I was getting letters for. I didn't knock on one door. I didn't campaign. I didn't tell people I was running anymore. I didn't do any of it. I even got calls from people that were like, "Hey, are you still running? We want to vote for you. We want to help you out, et cetera, et cetera." And I just told them, I was like, "Listen, I just, time-wise, military-wise, I feel like my mind is just not totally in it. I didn't fundraise. I didn't do any of it." So primary season rolls around, and I actually ended up getting quite a bit of votes, more votes than I thought. I thought it was just gonna be like me and my grandma. I thought I was just gonna get like 2 votes, but I actually only got, I think it was 200 less votes than the guy who won the primaries. So I was kind of close to winning the primaries and not even doing anything. Whether that's people just closing their eyes and pressing a button um, on the primaries, or people voting against the other guy and putting my name. I don't know. I don't know all the reason, or maybe it was name recognition. I don't know. I have lived in South Charleston for quite a while. I'm obviously a teacher here, and I've coached and all that good stuff. So maybe it was stuff like that. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, hey, next time I'm going to, if I do run, if I feel like God's calling me to run, if that door opens, if people want to support me, then I do run, then I think I have a chance. I think I have a chance of winning. I don't want that to sound cocky or arrogant or anything like that, but I think a couple, knocking on, a couple hundred doors and 1,000 doors, whatever it is, Republican or Democrat, knocking on their doors and introducing myself, telling people who I am, all, what I stand for, what I believe. Who knows? Who knows? So that's why I didn't run. And my name was still on there. I still got quite a bit of votes, not a lot. Again, it's West Virginia. We have just over 1 million people total in the state. My district doesn't hold, a ton of people, but, more votes than I thought. And so I'm grateful for everyone that voted for me. However you heard about me, why ever you voted for me, I'm grateful for that. So thank you. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to give it 100%. Next time, again, if that door opens, then I will give 110% to it, and I hope to win next time. So that's the reason why I didn't do it. Just pulled too many different reactions. Wasn't able to give it 100%. Next time, I will. So what am I doing now? I am teaching full time, but my mind is really focused on our church, as our parents are. I came back to a beautiful building. I'm so grateful for everyone who gave and invested in it. I came back to a beautiful building at our church, and my dad has just really been on fire. He always is on fire, but he's really been tearing it up in his sermons, and just really been an inspiration, him and my mom, Miss Kim, Pastor Bill. And so I'm like, man, we have some good young people coming. And so my mom sent me a sermon by Pastor Gary King just recently. I think it was called Christ Driven Youth, I believe. We both listened to it. We both felt inspired. I was like, I want to start something here at our church. We don't have enough people where we don't have enough young people where we can just do a youth group and do a young adults group. I've done that at my church, where like at 6 o'clock I'll meet with the youth, and then at 8 o'clock I'll meet with the young adults. It's just a lot of work for myself. And so basically I was like, I'll combine the two. And so right now we have a ministry that I felt really inspired to call it this. It's called Stand Alone Ministries. and it's 13 through 30, the age group. And I know that's a big age group, but again, we're a small church. So in my mind, I was thinking, if a 13-year-old misses a reference that I say, then it's okay. They'll get the gist of everything I'm saying. If I'm talking about something that's a little bit more grown up and it kind of goes over their head, that's okay. They'll understand the premise of the sermon. They'll understand the premise of the Bible study. And, as they get older, they'll understand it. Or if I need to pull them aside and kind of explain a little bit more, then that's fine as well. So 13 through 30, Stand Alone Ministries. And my focus is really going to be building this. And it was inspired by Daniel 3:16 through 18. And let me just read that. Again, not trying to preach you. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. Verse 18, but even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. And they're saying, even if we don't get delivered, we're still not going to worship you or your gods. So there's going to be, the whole premise is there's going to be times where you feel like you're standing alone. Yes, God is always with you. Yes, amen. But there's going to be times where you feel like you're standing alone and you feel like you're the only one making a stand at your school, at your workplace, wherever it is, at your college. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to stand alone. It strengthens you. And obviously you're not alone. You have a full church. There's other people who believe what you believe. Don't listen to the lies. Don't listen to the voice of the enemy. Don't listen to what the world has to say. You are not alone. Okay? But there are going to be times when it feels like you are. And you have to make that stand. I've made that stand. I have done it. And am I perfect in it? Absolutely not. I'm so imperfect. And by God's grace, have I made it this far? And I continue to hope to, and I continue to fight the fight. And continue to, regimes and our school and all this one to put arbitrary rules in place and all these nonsensical things, making up pseudoscience, all that good stuff. And I'm not going to get into that. But I got so much. I had teachers yelling at me and all these different things. And now looking back, I'm like, everything I was saying was correct. People were just bought into the fear. They were so afraid. Family that supports with a mom who really instilled in me a confidence. Like, you need to be confident in who God says. Pushed me, and in the spiritual sense, I remember I was like, what are you talking about? And I remember other students ganging up on me with the other professor, and it was like, what is happening right now? So be it. So be it. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares what other people have to say? Not like, Aaron, you're being mean. I should care about that. I should care. I don't want to be mean. But when it comes to the spiritual, when it comes to biblical stances, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that offends you. You know, I'm sorry that the Bible's going to offend. Jesus offended. He offended the religious leaders, and he didn't shy away from that. He didn't apologize. And I'm not being a jerk, or if I'm not talking about that. Okay, you shouldn't be a jerk. You should watch how you communicate. You should communicate in love. and in mercy and in grace. But if it's the Bible that they're offended by, so be it. So be it. Okay. There's going to be times when you stand alone. Keep doing it. Keep pressing forward. So that's where my focus is. I'm going to continue teaching. I'm going to continue in the military, and I love being a part of it. I love all the connections and the people that I've been able to meet, and it's been such a blessing in my life. There are some stuff I had to go through, and one day, I might be able to talk about those things. But right now, I'm just so looking forward to what God is doing. We have a Bible conference coming up in Arizona in June. Then we have Every Heart Movement coming in July to Charleston, West Virginia. It's a bunch of radical, on-fire college kids who travel to a ton of cities, and now they're going overseas as well, and they travel for 2 months during the summer, and they go from city to city to city, and at the end of outreaching for a whole week in each city, and then at the end of that week, they do a concert. And so they're doing that here. They've come for the last 3 years, and it's just going to be a wonderful time in it. And then immediately that week, we have revival with Pastor Marty Carnegie. And so it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful summer for me. And I hope to continue to release podcasts, and the episode coming out with my brother, who is releasing a book called Divine Wilderness. And we're going to talk about that, what God is going. And if you're not religious, then, I'm sorry talking about this, but I'm so looking forward to what God is going to do in Charleston, and I do not want to miss it. I do not want to miss it. I want to be a part of it. I want to see what he's going to do. I don't want it to I don't want it to pass over Charleston and then us not get it. Man, I want it. I want to receive it. I want to see all that God is going to do. I want to see the revival. I want to see the outpouring of his Holy Spirit upon this place. And I want to be a part of it. I want to do whatever I can do to facilitate a movement of God. A movement of God. And if you live in Charleston or you're listening to this, Charleston Christian Church, we're in Chesapeake. Stand Alone Ministries. We meet on Fridays. You can reach out to me. I'll give you a time. And I want to see it. I want to see a move of God. I want to see it in my generation. I want to see it in the generation after me. I want to see it in Charleston. I want to see it in West Virginia. I want to see this nation just on its knees in repentance and asking God to move. And asking God to move. So that's where I'm at. Those are some of the things that have been on my mind. I've been wanting to share with you. And I love you all. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you next time. Hopefully, the next podcast that is released will be with. It's going to be a good time. If you need anything, call me, beat me. If you want to reach me, Kim Possible. Love you guys.